It's just a laid back vibe, baby.
Why do women stay in relationships longer than they should?
It's a myriad of reasons.
I think so too. Well, if they have kids, women usually try to hold. Women are the ones who hold family units together. We are the glue for families, and it could be for that reason. Just so that the family unit could be completed, or what the woman perceives to be the family unit, and for the children, just because she may think that that's what the kids need, everybody together under one roof, and that's what she thinks is the thing to do. And I can tell you that because that's what I did when I was married. I should have left a long time ago, for a myriad of reasons, but that's what I did, but I'm not saying that that's the right thing to do.
Let's say you.
I think that most times women stay in relationships longer than what they need to because they are trying to avoid the void, if that makes any sense.
Yes, it does.
When you are alone, it's lonely, and you have this sense of emptiness. You're navigating life by yourself. When you see couples, you're longing for that connection. When the holidays roll around, you don't have anybody to spend it with, and that's depressing, I think, for a lot of women. I think people feel like, no one sees me, and they would rather stay in something so that they don't have to feel any of those feelings that I just named, rather than to say this is not the right relationship for me, or I could do better. They don't want to
Start over
and go through that space, I mean, of not having someone.
We're emotional, so when we are in relationships, not just casually dating somebody, but when we're in relationships, we pour. And even though our cups may not be getting filled, we keep pouring.
Yeah.
And we feel invested in a relationship. So it's like, okay, whether it's 2 months, 2 years, or 2 decades, I don't want to back out of this because I put time into this. I really care about this person. So we feel emotionally connected. So it's like we don't want to leave, even though all the signs may be there, like you need to walk away.
Yeah.
You need to walk away.
We still fear of the
feel
unknown.
like, yeah, because, companionship is natural. It's going back to Noah's Ark. It was, it's 2 by 2. So no one wants to die alone. So I just think, especially as women get older, and women who've never been married or who've never had children, they feel a sense of like, oh my goodness. Because I've gone to dinner and had deep conversations with friends who've never been married, never had children, and the void that they feel, it's like I was speechless. I didn't know what to say.
Especially at this age.
At this age.
So both of you all are basically saying convenience as a, it's easier to do it than to not do it.
I wouldn't classify it as convenience.
No.
I see how you could come up with that word, but I don't think it could be deduced to something that's so
But as a blanket
minuscule.
statement, but I think, and I say that to say that I think that there are other reasons. I think that within that convenience, there's a financial convenience. It's easier for me to
I'm going to say that you're saying convenience. I'm not saying that I'm...
Financial convenience? Go ahead and explain that.
There's a financial convenience. It's
Yeah.
easier for me to live the lifestyle that I am currently leading than to go out and strike out on my own or find something that actually works better than what I'm currently doing. So there's a financial reason. I saw it a lot when I lived in Texas. Texas is like a great...
Are you speaking of married people?
Married people.
Okay.
Texas is a great place to be a man for this reason. Because it's hard for a woman to leave you because she likes the convenience of having her truck, living in the big house, and doing all of those things, going to the soccer games.
Why is that exclusive to Texas?
Because women other places will leave you. That was enough. I'm done here. That's it. People just, it's hard. You could almost have a baby with your wife's sister, and y'all gonna work it out in Texas. And
I don't know that to be.
I don't know that.
My family is from Texas, my mother's side, and that is not what I know. But that is your
And I know
experience.
people in Chicago who find it easier to stay because they are living a dual income life. And I'm going to say, I had a lot of things. I had the big house and the cars and all that. I had a lot of things, but I didn't have peace.
Yeah.
So
Which is priceless.
it is priceless. So I always tell people, like, divorce wasn't easy. Well, yes and no. But so I have a lot less things, a whole lot less things. But I have a happiness and a sense of peacefulness that I have not had in decades. So I think people stay. So yes, some do stay because they want to live a lifestyle because they may be married to somebody who could provide that for them. Mm-hmm. But I don't think that's exclusive to Texans. I'm
not saying this.
Well, I don't
his
even think
experience.
I don't think it's even predominantly in Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I don't
you haven't
think
lived
so.
across the whole globe, so I get that you're just saying you saw it more in Texas than you've seen it in any other state.
I was just surprised that being there and being a single man at that point in my life, that everything was about being married, and there were people that put and I guess I should have given it more context, but people were willing to put up with things there that I did not see that was not the case in other places that I was. And I mean, I had female friends who would share their things with me, and they were like, "Oh no, I'm not leaving. I'm not trying to get the smaller house and have to get a car instead of my truck." So that was
their quality of life was something that was very, very important.
The quality of
They
life.
just they prioritized things over their sense of
their
peace.
happiness, absolutely.
Yeah. Okay.
And it was shocking to me because I mean, obviously I'm a man, so it was great to be a man, a single man in Texas, but it was different. It was different than anything that I had experienced. It was different than what I came from, and for me, it was a great time. I mean, I really enjoyed being single in Texas, but to see women go through it, to hear the stories, I was just like, wow.
It's kind of alarming. I don't know. I can say that I believe another reason why women stay in relationships longer than what they need to is simply because there is a fear of the unknown. You know what you have right here, right? You've
the devil that
you've
you do
worked
know.
You've worked on them. You've tried to mold them and shape them and chisel them down to what you need them to be, and it may not be what you need per se, but the unknown of what's out there is probably more daunting than getting rid of this one here. So they stay and they just keep trying to fix them and patch him up, and hopefully he'll morph into the man that they need him to be. And then the other part of that is that he's 75% done, right? He's 75% baked. Do you give your rising cake, and put it out there for everybody else to eat on, and then you're sitting back hungry because it wasn't quite done, and you don't want to just give all your work away and for somebody to benefit and receive it, and he'd be the better person for them. Then it's so many different reasons I think women stay, but literally fear has a lot to do with it. Fear of the unknown, fear of giving your man back to the streets when
That's true. And I heard when I was married, because I was married for almost 30 years, and prior to that we dated for four and a half years. So I've been with the same person forever. We pretty much grew up together, and for the whole time that I was married, I heard single women say, "Oh my gosh, it's a good thing you're married. Girls, stay married because, this dating life is for the birds. Guys don't want to take you out. They don't want to court you. They want to just lay up and make, they don't want you to cook." And I just heard horror stories. And I can't, And I heard, like you should never date just one person. You should date 3 or 4 guys because, if we could just like build a bear, like
That
build a
sounds
guy.
exhausting.
This guy may be the guy that you lay up and watch movies with. This guy may be the person that comes over and fixes things. Now, literally, this is what I would hear. And this guy may be the person that you do, red carpet things with. And I would just listen like, oh my gosh. So, I've dated 2 men since my divorce, and and they each have redeeming qualities and they each have their flaws, but it's not in me to date several people at one time. That just is not who I am. But just staying in a relationship, it was who I was, to stay in a relationship longer than I should have, but I don't want to do that anymore. So at 56 and dating, if the relationship is not working, then I just want to call it quits. I don't want to get counseling over a dating relationship. If we're not meant to be together, let's just not be together.
I feel like what you're saying has like more than 100% validity. I think that peace ranks number one. Your personal peace, like, that's paramount. I do feel like, women stay. Maybe not even just women. People stay because, you're used to something. So
it becomes a habit.
Even if it's sexual, this person knows me. This person knows my body. This person knows what I want. And we've trained each other. So maybe the rest of the relationship is shit. But the intimacy part is stellar. And so you end up staying because that part, again, you're releasing endorphins. It feels good. You know what I mean? It's a physical need and it's being met. So I think that kind of keeps people
together.
Well, yeah, it keeps them in something longer. I don't know if you really
or even out of the bedroom, they just become comfortable like an old pair of Levi's. It's comfortable to be with you because, even though I'm not getting a whole lot of needs met physically, like you said, I know you know me, you know what buttons to push with me and vice versa. And it just feels comfortable, even though the love and the relationship has dwindled.
An older guy expressed it to me like this. He said, I always know who my New Year's Eve date is going to be. So he didn't have to worry about, was it going to be this person?
Yeah, the holidays, he has his person.
Yeah, I know what I'm going to do. I'm going to go to this person's house. We're going to eat bad potato salad. I understand the process. So rather than trade my routine, which I'm very comfortable in, even though the potato salad is horrible, I am going to go ahead and stay in that situation. And that was how a man expressed it, an older gentleman expressed it to me.
I mean, I like that, honestly. I mean, I don't feel like he was, getting a pie thrown at him or he was being abused or something that, was emasculating him. I felt like this is just life. Everything is not going to be perfect, but it's good. You know what I mean? And what it brings to your life is good. I do feel like when you set yourself in a position of always looking for perfection in someone, you're going to always be disappointed because perfection, right? It just doesn't exist.
Right.
But goodness exists. And if you can find joy, you know what I mean, in an imperfect person, you're like batting 1,000. That's not a bad bat.
Yeah, that's pretty good. I've seen people and I've heard stories of, that person that stays too long and that person shares that story with me. And it's always tough to listen to somebody else's stories because, you're hearing it and you obviously have your opinion and not everything is for us to give opinion on. Sometimes people are sharing things with you and they're venting.
And they just want to listen. They want you to listen.
Yeah.
And, being the handyman that I am, I always want to fix everything. Right. I can make it better, stronger, faster. But that's not always what it is. But when I hear the stories, it always makes me a little sad sometimes because I have an opinion that I want to share and it's probably not the right thing because something that I could swim through, somebody else might be taking on water. And certain things I just don't want to give advice to. I want to, I want to do my job. I want to listen.
And you don't know the whole story. They're just telling you what they want you to know.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
So when you hear that story, how does that make you feel? when someone is telling you, man, I should do this, or I'm thinking about that, or this is what's going on, and they're telling you, they're almost asking you for permission to leave.
So I have a friend who is in a marriage that has faltered because her husband had an affair that resulted in a child. And she will talk to me about it, and I have my own thoughts. So I'll phrase it as a question. Do you think he's still seeing the mistress? Oh, no, I don't think so. All right. So because everything that she says to me points to the affirmative. But she doesn't think so. So I just leave it. So I don't know. It's just I can only go by what I'm hearing her say from the situation that she has experienced and what my instincts tell me. But I could be wrong. So I just listen. So when you have somebody who's just venting, all you can do is just listen. And I don't even think it's always wise to interject what you're thinking, because it could sway them, because they're emotionally
at a pivotal point.
Yeah, it could sway them, and you don't want to sway somebody into doing something that's probably may not be in their best interest.
Right.
Just because it was your experience.
What about you, Janae? When you hear that, what feelings does that evoke for you?
I mean, I guess similar to what you said, I would probably ask some questions just to get their brains kind of off the narrow path that they're on and just be a little bit more
a little tight
broader. Right. There's a whole bunch of sidewalk left. But I would just ask, like, long term, how long do you see this, going on? What is your limit? What are you willing to accept? And if you found out, because you asked the question, do you think this? But if you found out that this was still happening, what would you want to do? How would you want to handle it? And just to get them thinking outside of their box. I'm not going to make your decision for you. I will probably say something if I felt like your life was in danger,
right?
Or if I had some firsthand information, I might say something. It kind of just depends. But I'm just going to sit back and listen and try and be that supportive friend. I do like to see people win. I do like to see families stay together. Ultimately, that's what I would like. And whoever said that it's hard out here, stay married. I think it is hard out here. I think the apples are picked over. They got worms in them. I think they're bruised.
So it's some pee in the pool.
It is some pee in the pool. It might be something else in the pool too.
But it's work to be single. It's work to be married. It's work to stay married or to stay.
I think if you can work it out, you should always stay married.
Yeah,
if you can work that out.
I believe that. I do. I honestly, in my heart, believe that.
I do too.